I'm Dr. Tim Walton, and I'm an Associate Professor of Intelligence Analysis in the Department of Integrated Science and Technology here at James Madison University. I did my undergraduate work at William & Mary, and then I did a tour in the Navy, and that put me mostly in European waters with the ships that I was on. I worked as a communicator, which meant that I had a top secret clearance. When I got out of the Navy, I went to graduate school and went to UVA for graduate work. And while at UVA, I got a Fulbright grant to study in Paris for a year. Very, very nice. I recommend it to everybody. And when I started looking around for jobs, it was clear that the tickets that I had, having been in the service, having traveled, spoken foreign languages and all of that, meant that being an intelligence officer was something that I should look at. That's the kind of people they're looking at. So I applied to the Central Intelligence Agency and got accepted and spent 24 years as a political analyst at CIA. Given my background as actually a serving intelligence officer, I'm interested in a couple of different things. One is intelligence history, how it's all unfolded and what we can say now that we couldn't say at the time, that sort of thing. And then the other thing is how to make it better. Intelligence has done some great things, but it's also screwed up on occasions. It's had some intelligence failures. And I think the more people think about the lessons of the past and how we do analysis and how we can do it better, that's all better to protect our country, and so that's what I try and teach my students how to do. I think it's important to get published work on intelligence analysis and how to improve it, because there's a lot of distortion. A lot of people out in the outside world don't really understand what the problems and difficulties and potentials are of intelligence. A lot of the coverage in media and the movies and things like that isn't particularly accurate. So I want the broader world to understand what intelligence is really like, but more particularly my students who are thinking about making it a career themselves. The CIA recently declassified several hundred documents about intelligence support to the Dayton Peace Agreements, which ended the fighting in Bosnia in the 1990s. This was a terrible episode of ethnic cleansing and all kinds of other troubles, and it was a good example of the U.S. using its power and influence to try and stop these sort of things. And the documents show how intelligence helped with that. So we're having this conference to explore those documents and get people to understand, again, how intelligence really works, and a book will come out of the conference. I've done some articles as well as books on it. I continue to go to professional conferences and to talk about intelligence, and JMU hosts conferences and visitors here on it. And we're aiming at a number of audiences there. One is the academic community, historians, political scientists, that sort of thing, who want to understand how the broader government and how intelligence works. Also the public on it, as I have said. I think it's important for the public to get a more accurate, they're the taxpayers, they pay the bills for this. It's good that they understand it. And then actually serving intelligence officers. We have people who are currently serving as intelligence officers come down and visit JMU, talk to our students, and we have an ongoing dialogue with a number of the agencies trying to help them to improve their work. I came to JMU for a variety of reasons. Number one is geography. It's close to where I was living in Northern Virginia. As everyone who's ever been to Harrisonburg knows, it's also a beautiful place, but it's also close enough to Washington. So you're kind of separated from all the craziness in Washington, the traffic and all of that sort of thing, but it's not impossible for us to invite guest speakers and that sort of thing to come down. I was also particularly impressed by the quality of the intelligence analysis program here at JMU. Again, I could have taught any number of places, but the fact that our program is located in the science faculty, that we have a technical edge, that we put a lot of emphasis on critical thinking, speaking and writing skills, these are the things that employers are looking for, and we think that's what we pass on to our students. People always ask me a lot about what the JMU experience is like from a student's point of view. But one of my favorite stories is we were having one of these international conferences we were hosting here last year, and people from what's called the Five Eyes, and this is the British, the Canadians, the Australians, the New Zealanders, and then the United States, and it's the closest intelligence analysis alliance in the world. And they were at JMU to meet. And two of our students gave a presentation. It was on Hezbollah, the terrorist group in Lebanon. And in the audience was a Navy captain. In other words, the next rank up is an admiral, so a very senior guy at the Defense Intelligence Agency. And he asked the students a couple of questions, as did other people in the audience. And then when they came back to recognize him for another question, he said, you know, that was like a White House press briefing. To two of our students at JMU. And that is a very high bar for being articulate and communicating your message. And he knew what he spoke about. I mean, he'd been to White House press briefings, and to say that two of our undergraduate students were as good as a White House press briefing, it was very rewarding as a professor to see that.
This video was produced by